first apologize to Russell for thinking this was a prank when he came to my clinic about a month ago and told me that I was chosen. Look around and think of all the wonderful teachers we have here. So I'm sorry I didn't believe you. Ashley, thank you for that introduction. I'd like to thank my mother who wrote that, actually. Dean Lockwood, Dr. Gabby, parents, families, friends, and most of all, graduates, congratulations. You can only be Professor of the Year once, and so I can't come up here and not try this, so let's try it. O-H. I-O. O-H. I-O. At least wanted to do that. I'd like to thank my wife, Laura, and Christopher, and Leanne, and Evan, my children who are sitting back there. My mother-in-law, Ruth Ann. I'd like to thank my parents, Don and Rosemary. And remember my father-in-law, Larry, who passed away recently. I love you all very much, and you guys are a big reason why I'm here. I'd like to thank my mentor, Mike Caligiuri, for his example to me over the last 10 years, too. So tonight I want to give you a very quick talk on the 3 secrets for a successful career and practice in medicine. There's just 3 things you have to know. You have to be smart, you have to work hard, and you have to care. And there's a really easy way to remember that. You just put these 3 fingers up. The pinky finger stands for being smart. And trust me, I know you guys are incredibly smart. I've graded your tests. Being smart means you gotta know stuff, but it also means putting that knowledge into action. You need to begin to learn how to act decisively in a minute. It also means developing a contemplative side too, and becoming aware of how you think as well. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that one because I know you guys are smart already. The second secret is hard work, and this is where this little memory piece comes in. So if you look at your hand again, being smart is your pinky, working hard is your ring finger, and see how your ring finger is a little bit longer than your pinky finger? That means hard work trumps smarts every day, all the time, every time. Now I know you've all worked hard to be here already, but your work from now on as physicians is going to take on a very special quality. When you work as a physician, your work becomes love made visible. I'm not talking about some kind of touchy-feely love, the kind that our culture represents or the way it's defined in our media. Love is not a feeling, love is a verb. And what I mean by that is your work as a physician has to be infused with altruism. It means that from now on, too, you have an obligation to take care of one another as well. Here's the key, though. The work, the hard work that we do as physicians is actually a lot of fun. It's actually a blast. It's a lot of fun to be a doctor. My dad's an anesthesiologist. He's still in practice now, over 40 years. And I asked him once, what keeps you going? Why do you go to work day after day and year after year? And he said, well, it's mainly indoor work, and there's not a lot of heavy lifting. And I said, come on, what? And he said, well, I can think of no greater privilege than to extubate a patient after a successful case. And I get to be the person there waking them up and telling them, you're safe, it's all okay, I'm here. And I said, geez, come on, Dad, why are we And he said, it's just so dang fun. It's just so much fun. And it is fun. It's a blast. And I want to define that word for you, though. Fun, for me, is the sense of satisfaction that comes with knowing that you can do a hard thing well. Fun is the sense of satisfaction that comes with knowing you can do a hard thing well. And you guys are going to have fun in your careers. This brings me to the 3rd secret of life. So go back to your hand, being smart, working hard. The most important one, though, is you gotta care. You don't have to only care for your patients, you have to care about your patients. And you have to care about each other too, but more important than that, you have to show that you care. It helps to think about this from a patient's perspective. If for no other reason, if you haven't been a patient yet, you will be at some point in your lives. One time I was trying to explain to a patient that he had to have a bone marrow biopsy done. And I told him, look, Bob, we do these every day. We're going to numb you up real good. We're going to get in and out of there in no time. It's really just a minor procedure. And he looked me right in the eye, I'll never forget it. He said, you know what my definition of a minor procedure is? A minor procedure is something they do to somebody else. I asked a few of my patients what I should tell you tonight. One of my patients, Matt, was 26 when he was diagnosed with cancer. And he told me, I remember lying in the James and looking out the window at the students outside. And I just wanted to tell them how lucky they are. Not only because of their health, but because they're going to have a chance to make a difference in the world. Matt's been in remission for over 3 years now. He married his high school sweetheart and he's doing great. A friend of mine, Susan, was diagnosed with leukemia when she was 4 years old. And she's 31 now. She cried as she told me she could still remember the faces of other kids on her ward who didn't make it, who weren't as lucky as she was. She wanted me to tell you all tonight, never give up, never quit. The sister of one of my patients who passed away, unfortunately, told me to tell you, our fears and our hopes rest in every word you say as doctors, so choose your words carefully. Finally, another patient of mine told me, just tell him I said thank you. Now, as it turns out, all of these people are actually going to be riding in Pelotonia with me in a few months, and if you think I'm going to turn this tender part of my talk into a shameless plug for Pelotonia, you're right. I hope to see you all out on your bicycles with me in August in a few months. But this is the third secret of life. You gotta care and you gotta show it and you can't fake it. One of my other patients used to keep a little sign on his desk at work that said, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Some of you have heard me say already, doctors are no different than people in other walks of life. You know in your interactions with accountants or lawyers or with people in business, within 60 seconds if they really care about you or not. There's no mystery to that. I want to tell you just a quick story. When my kids were a little bit younger, the toilet in our bathroom upstairs clogged. And some of you have kids, right? You know how this works. Nobody went upstairs, nobody went to the bathroom, nobody went It was about 9 o'clock and I went in and I thought, I have 2 terminal degrees, I can fix the toilet. Well, so about an hour later, I had scratched up the porcelain, I had knocked the towel rack off the wall. I flooded the entire bathroom and called a 24-hour plumber to fix it. And within 15 minutes, there was a real quiet knock on our door. And I went down and opened the door, and the plumber was standing there. He had already taken off his boots. He was standing in his socks on the porch with his muddy work boots in one hand and his toolbox in the other. And he said, I knocked because I thought you probably have young kids who were already in bed. I didn't want to wake them up with the doorbell. So that's really nice of you, And I took him upstairs and he looked at the bathroom and what I had done. And he said, I'll fix this in no time. And he went in and closed the door. And about an hour went by and I didn't hear anything. And I thought, he probably fell asleep. So I knocked on the door and I peeked in. And I mean to tell you, what used to be a toilet now was like dozens of pieces of porcelain and pipes and tubing. And there was water all over the place. The towel rack was hanging on the wall by one screw still. And the floor was, and he was down on his hands and knees and just profusely sweating. And he looked up and he said, if I can't fix this, I won't charge you. What do you do, right? So I closed the door. About an hour later, he came out of the bathroom and he produced a very tiny, twisted little Batman action figure. And it was about a foot under the floorboards in the drain pipe. And I looked over his shoulder, and the bathroom looked like something you'd see in Home and Gardens magazine. The toilet was fixed, the water was going. He put the towel rack back on the wall, and had actually, I think it was the first time that the towels had actually been folded on. And what struck me was, not that he was a great plumber, the guy was amazing, but he actually really cared about us. He really cared. From the moment he came to our house, he really cared about us. I want to tell you that story because when you go in a patient's room, the patient and their family and your peers and your students will know if you care or not within 60 seconds. You can't fake it. You've got to show that you care. Whatever you do from now on, you teach. Don't forget your loved ones either. My first month as an intern was in the ICU, We took overnight call Q3 back then, which means every third night you spend the night at the hospital. You go to work at 6 a.m., you come home the next day around 9 p.m., you do a 14-hour work day, you go back for call. So Evan was, I think, 3 weeks old at the time, and I came home from the ICU post-call one night completely exhausted. And I walked in our little apartment and sat down on the couch and I said, honey, I can't help you with the baby tonight. I'm exhausted. I'm Q3 right now. And my wife, if you want to stand up, honey, my wife walked over to me and handed me our son and she said, I'm Q1. Forget your loved ones. Don't forget your families and friends and all the people who have sacrificed for you guys to be here tonight. These are tough times in medicine. You may not have to look very far to see people who are burned out, to see people who have lost their love for our profession. You guys are going to have some hard days in front of you too, some very difficult days. Remember, be smart, work hard, and care. Live each day fully. Cling to that sense of wonder that you had, that all of you had, and especially back when we met in your first year. Treasure your idealism. Nobody is promised tomorrow. You'll see this in your career if you haven't already. Stay humble. You'll have times in the future where all that's left at the end of the day is one decision, to be grateful or not. Choose gratitude. Humility and gratitude are the only gifts we can produce out of our own making. All of our other talents are God-given gifts. Be courageous, persevere. As one of my teachers told me once, don't ever quit 15 minutes before the miracle happens. My last piece of advice for you is this: you gotta love medicine. I mean, you gotta love medicine. I'm very proud of all of you, but remember, nobody ever promised you anything. You don't get a do-over in life. There's no control group for this experiment. And this is your chance to get out now if in your heart you don't love medicine. It's okay to get angry sometimes, it's okay to get upset, it's okay to be frustrated as a physician. But just remember, how you act in times of great stress is how you'll be defined. Whatever you do, you teach. What you need to be aware of is indifference. The worst thing a doctor can say is, I don't care. Indifference and apathy breed resentment, and resentment leads to hopelessness. So stay humble, stay grateful, stay courageous, and persevere. As we say in Pelotonia, be all in. Thank you for this tremendous honor. May your lives as physicians be fun. May your work be love made visible for each other, for our profession, and for our patients. Thank you.